Don't look now, but there's a big competition going on up in the cloud for your computing business. And one of the top 3 competitors joins us now on INSEAD Knowledge. He's Jim Hagemann-Snabe, and he's the co-CEO of enterprise software maker SAP. Jim, welcome to INSEAD Knowledge.
My pleasure.
There are 3 big companies right now competing for cloud control. There's Salesforce.com, they're out in front, but you and Oracle are competing pretty hard for second place. Why is it important to be a leader in this field?
Well, we've seen the first generation of cloud technologies mainly focused on the consumer side, companies like eBay and Amazon, providing services through an internet to consumers that has been very successful. Facebook, of course, the latest addition, which is the connectivity between people, but still a consumer-oriented play. All American companies successful in innovating for the consumer. We believe that the next wave of cloud technology is now ready for businesses. And we see 2 very large value drivers in the cloud computing for business. First of all, it's about simplification. How we can provide advanced technology that required many expertise in the company to manage, suddenly can be deployed and delivered without any technology installed at the customer. But secondly, and this is where I think the next generation of cloud computing really plays a role, is this connectivity, not between people, but between businesses. And that's where, of course, where cloud computing is going to play a major role.
But if you're doing all that communicating and sharing between businesses, there's also an issue about copyright. How do you protect it?
We believe that this industry is going much more towards an ecosystem approach where you open up your technology, you open up your interfaces to the technology and allow an ecosystem to build on top. So of course it's much harder in business because you're solving business problems and there's a much more focus on the quality and reliability of the solution. But we have 40 years of experience in doing that, and we have always been very friendly to the ecosystem approach where we invite other companies to participate with us and innovate faster for the customer.
Originally, your client base was predominantly Fortune 500 companies, but now it's small and medium-sized enterprises. What changed?
Well, we, of course, kept the market-leading position among the large companies. In many ways, the next practice is always from the very ambitious large companies. But we've also seen that the growth opportunity, both for us as a company, but also if we want to enable small and medium-sized companies to grow in this world, is to give them the same world-class solution that large companies get, but at a significantly simpler consumption. And finally, we think that we embrace all data, where before we were just embracing the corporate data. In today's world, you need to be able to analyze Twitter sentiments in order to understand your impact in this market and guide your efforts and promotions in the right direction.
But this shift to SMEs must mean some new products and services on your part. I mean, you have these small companies with a global reach, maybe there are only 3 people in the company, and they have to make sense of all this data, handle all these social media platforms. What can you provide for them?
Simplification is the key to drive success for broad adoption. For instance, Europe, to grow through small and medium-sized companies who are in many ways global companies. They're just smaller. And we have the solutions to give them the same world-class type of technology as large companies get, without them having to know everything and have the investment.
Which part of your business is actually growing? Which products and services?
Because of this focus on innovation, we actually have growth in all areas. If you look at it geographically, obviously Asia is a very high growth market, as it is for most companies. But we've been able to grow double digits in Europe as well. Even Germany, which is one of our most mature markets because of our history in Germany, we have more than 20% growth rates in the last couple of quarters. So it is possible to grow in Europe if you have an innovation-driven agenda.
Do you think you'll wrestle second place in cloud computing away from Oracle and ultimately dethrone Salesforce.com? You have a strategy there?
We are the largest player in the cloud already today in terms of number of users consuming our services. We have more than 15.6 million users, and that is approximately 4 times more than Salesforce. Also, we believe that the cloud business is not just about making revenues in the cloud. It is about making money in the cloud. and most people are losing money in the cloud, and we intend to be the first company to show that with our scale and our quality, we can also make money in the cloud. The two categories where we have a traditional leadership position is the business applications like ERP and CRM and so on, where we of course organically innovate because we are the market leader and we are taking market shares again. And then we have three new areas, so to say, that add more value. It's the mobility for business, it's the cloud as we talked about, and then this big data category, which is about how can you analyze enormous amounts of data and make decisions about your future and not just report the past. In those five categories, we've made some bets on acquisition and most of it driven by innovation. And we're always looking for what could be the next category.
You have a co-CEO structure at SAP, and you're the engineering guy in charge of product development. So which of these products excites you most?
Well, I think that with some of the new technology, we have an opportunity to change the way businesses are run and the way we work and live. And in particular, what makes me tick, what really gets me up in the morning, is the opportunity for us to solve some of the resource-constrained challenges that this world has, as we are now 7 billion people, growing to 9 billion people probably in the next 30 to 40 years. We need to find new ways to solve challenges around water, energy, food, but also more classical optimization. For instance, in healthcare. With our in-memory technology, we are now able to help analyze the DNA of a patient and through the analysis identify the mutation, for instance, in cancer, so that you can search and find the exact medical treatment on that kind of mutation. And with that, you individualize the treatment in healthcare while at the same time increasing productivity in healthcare dramatically.
What are some of the problems in the world today that worry you?
Yeah, first of all, I think it's important that business leaders realize the challenges in the world and take an active participation in solving some of these problems. And I think we can. Obviously, most of the headlines in the newspapers these days is about a debt crisis and currencies like the euro. I actually am much more concerned about the unemployment rate among young people, in particular in Europe, but also other places. Many of the innovations of the future require young people's open mindset and the diversity of bringing young people together in solving problems around energy, etc. And we are losing a generation of inspired, energetic young people who even are, in many cases, well educated if we don't bring them into our workforce and give them the opportunity to participate.
So how do you do that? How does SAP do that? Because I can see you're very impassioned about this.
We have programs to get more young people into our organization, but our bigger impact is probably on education in general. We are right now in the final stage of launching a program where we will offer education on our technology to unemployed young people in Europe. Because we have a very strange dilemma. On one side, young people unemployed, typically technology savvy, strong people. And then in the IT sector in Europe, there's a lot of open positions that we can't fill. And so we felt that one obligation that we have is to go in and offer education to unemployed people, and with that, increase the amount of skills on technology in Europe and potentially create new innovative ideas for SAP and other companies who need software engineers.
You have manufacturing facilities all over the world. Do you have any problems moving the skilled labor force around?
We're a very global company. If you look at our board, we have a global presence in the company, 2 Danes, 2 Americans, a South African, some Germans, an Indian. So we're a very global company, and we also operate our company that way. So our labs are on 32 different locations around the world. Obviously, we have, because of our historic presence in Germany, a lot of engineers in Germany. But we have a huge lab in Palo Alto in the US. We have lots of engineers in Canada and Brazil. We have, of course, more than 6,000 people in India. We're growing rapidly in China. And so all in all, 32 locations. We have a lot of technologies that allow us to move problems with the sun, and so that we can work almost continuously on one problem, having the engineering teams hand over the task to the next team.
Do you have any advice you'd like to give to other business executives who may be chasing the sun with their problems and have to communicate with a global workforce?
Probably the biggest recommendation if you drive these global networked kind of organizations is communication. It's everything. You have to be able to know what other people have been thinking and doing. And therefore we are developing and even delivering to the market new technologies a la Facebook, where it's not about which coffee is my friend from high school drinking, but what did my colleague in India do the last 8 hours. On a wall of all the team members contributing their ideas, their code, their structures, their drawings, and everyone in the team, no matter where you sit, feel part of the team and know exactly what's going on.
Let me end by asking you about your leadership style. In reading your bio, I note that you like classical music and long-distance running because it gives you a chance to clear your mind and think new thoughts. How does all that work together?
Well, I would maybe characterize my leadership style as one of balance. I think there's always two sides in a coin. I believe that you need to be on one side a very ambitious type leader who set ambitious goals for the team, because if you're not competing to be number one, you're not competing. And at the same time, I don't believe in the leader taking all the decisions. I believe that it's my role to enable the team to bring the best people together. I don't have to be the smartest in the room. The combined force of the team is much smarter. And so you need to give them the freedom to figure out the best solution and the opportunity to deliver on it. So it's kind of a yin and yang on being firm on what we want to achieve, setting some boundary conditions for it, and at the same time, the flexibility and openness so that they can contribute. And so I like classical music because it is, on one side, a very structured form where there's no ambiguity about what we are playing now and what is the tact of what we are playing. Yet the real fantastic classical experience comes when there is an element of creativity in that system coming from the individuals and the conductor. And that's maybe one reason why I like classical music so much.
So Handel rather than Hindemith.
Yes, I always said that the leadership is about dreams and details. Dreams because you need to inspire people to go places and that they really want to go, and with their heart they feel passionate about the opportunity. And details because you will never get there unless you get the details in order. And if you look at the best conductors in this world, one of my big leaders that I inspire, that I get inspiration from, is Benjamin Sanders. He's a well-known conductor. And when he dreams about the music that he wants to create, he does it through a perfect understanding of what details in this music will create that dream. And therefore I think it's those two that go hand in hand if you want to be a successful leader in today's environment.
Jim Hagemann Snabe, thank you very much for being with us on INSEAD Knowledge.
My pleasure.